Hi everybody and welcome to Daddy's Kitchen. Today we're going to make a pasta bolognese. Actually the sauce is a bolognese. What is it? It's going to have pork and beef. You need onions. You need, let me see here, about a cup of carrots and a cup of celery mixed in. I don't have pancetta, which is Italian bacon, not smoked. So we're going to have to use bacon, yellow and red bell peppers. That's my touch. I like to add that. Nutmeg, which is the secret to a good sauce. Bay leaf, chicken stock, San Marsano tomatoes, cento tomatoes, cream. Believe it or not, it is a cream sauce. A dry wine, any white. I prefer white instead of red. If you add red, then red may be a little too strong. Of course, olive oil. I like to add a little spice to my sauce. My kids tend to like it. So I have crushed chili peppers. And at the end, I add basil and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. So go ahead and let's get started. Okay, so we got the olive oil. It's heating up. Okay, just a little. And what I'm going to do is I've already mixed the pork and the beef. Some people go for just beef. Others pork and veal and all of that. I'm not making any meatballs. I'm just going to, take them here. And what I want to do is I want to be able to seal the juices, so that way I don't just leave it flat. So the juices, it'll brown on the outside, and that's what I want to do. I just want to brown the meat, okay? Because everything that's released, I want it inside. So once it's brown, again, I don't need to cook it because I'm going to be cooking this for a couple of hours in the sauce. Again, just brown it. That's all I want. Okay, so the meat is browning. Guarantee you, if I were to cut this, and I'll show you, it's probably still red inside. And again, that's okay. That's what you want. You don't want to cook it all the way. Some of the grease has been released. I just want the outside to coat with a brown look. And I'm sure it tastes great. So I'm gonna take it out of the pot. Okay, I'm gonna dump it in here. Oh, I gotta wash this. But I'm gonna dump it back, and I'm going to remove some of that water. I don't need the water because I'm gonna put the bacon in here, and I'm going to use that grease of the bacon in the little brown bits and pieces of the meat. Mix it with the onion, mix it with the celery, the carrots, the bell peppers, and saute that. And then I'm going to add the wine, the chicken broth, and a couple of other things. Okay, you'll see. Okay, so the meat is out, brown. And this is what the pot looks like. Now I removed all that extra oil, fat and all that. Now it's funny, I removed the fat and I'm gonna add more fat. Why? Because it's a different fat. So I'm removing the juices of the meat and the fat. That's what I have here. I actually dumped a little bit more. But I'm gonna add the bacon and then I'm going to add the onion. You'll see when I do. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like. Again, when you do it and you have a lot of water, it's not really water that has been released, it's fat. That's okay. Let the meat cook, brown. Once you remove the meat, then go ahead and remove the water. Now, how much bacon am I adding? About 3 strips, I would say. Unfortunately, I don't have non-smoked bacon, that would be better. But if you can, if you have access to pancetta, which again it's Italian sort of bacon, use that. But this should do the trick. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and saute this until it releases again that fat. I'm gonna add the onion, and you will see. Okay, so the bacon is done. Okay, so now it's time for the onions. How much in terms of onion? One nice big onion. If you got the little onions, medium onions, then I would say two. But it all depends on how much you're gonna make. I tend to exaggerate when I cook. I end up with leftovers lots, and I take them to school or neighbor or whoever. Okay, so let the onions cook, saute a little, become translucent, and then we add the rest. Okay, so now the onions are cooked. Okay, they're very, very cooked. They're mixed in with the bacon, or sorry, if I had pancetta, it would be that. So now I'm going to add the carrots and the celery. How much? About a cup each. A cup of carrots and a cup of celery. And again, this is a recipe that I got from everywhere. From watching some chefs, real chefs, from watching people on my travels. So I've added this, I took this out, I added this other thing. So you're gonna make it your own. I like the way mine comes out, and that's, you know, my kids like it, and that's a whole point of cooking is, you know, sharing the love with your family, with friends, and sometimes strangers. Although right now, don't talk to strangers. Try to keep your distance. You want to stay healthy. So we'll let it cook for a bit, and what we're gonna do next is we're gonna add the meat back. And you know how I made the meat into little balls, sort of like meatballs? I'm going to squeeze them and make them into just ground beef like. Once I do that, then I can add the wine. How much wine? Well, I have here about a cup and a half of wine. Which wine? I like, for this, white. I know it doesn't make sense. Oh, it's, you know, Bolognese. It's a red sauce. But I actually like the white wine, dry if possible. And you need, I have a cup and a half here. And I'm going to add another cup. And that one's not going to go into the pot. This one's going to go into my pot. If you know what I mean. If you're ever in the Santa Barbara or Ojai or Santa Ynez Valley, I recommend you go to Sunstone. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know if you're able to see it. Sunstone Winery. Very nice setting. And then I'll also give you other pointers as to where to go to get great wine. Okay, I just added the meat back. So now I'm going to really get rid of the balls and just make it like ground beef. Now I forgot to add the bell peppers, so I did it off camera, but I waited until the carrots were cooked. I wait for the bell pepper, the carrots, the celery, and of course the onions to mix. So now I'm just doing this. In terms of salt and pepper, I add a little pepper, I add a little salt to the mixture of the carrots and the bell pepper and onions. But be careful with the salt because the bacon already has salt. So it's salty. the meat has pork and also beef, so just it's better to not put too much salt, and then while the sauce is cooking you can taste it, and if it needs a little bit more salt then you can add it then. Okay, so now some recipes call for you to add the tomatoes now, or actually add the cream. Now they ask for cream, they ask for milk. I like heavy cream, so I can add that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the wine. Okay, so about 1.5 cups here, and 1.5 cups for me. Okay, so now mix it up a little, and now we're gonna wait for the wine to cook and evaporate, and that will leave the flavor behind. Just the alcohol will evaporate. Okay, so how long will that be? Depends on your pot. Depends on the how hot you have it. Right now I have it medium high, and then just let it rest, take a break, have another glass of wine, go read a book. No, it won't take that long. Okay, so what's the next step? When we come back, we're gonna add bay leaf and nutmeg. Okay, and again, do I write down my recipe? No, I don't. So most of the time it'll come out great. Once in a while I'll forget something and my kids will remind me. I should be writing these recipes, but maybe that's why I'm doing these videos. But don't worry, at the end of the video I'll make sure that I put the ingredients. Okay, so now we have the meat. The wine has evaporated. If you move, you can see, hopefully you can, very little water is left. So this should be somewhat dry. You can leave it, let it cook, simmer for another 5 minutes. But as I'm looking at the pan, it's pretty much dry at the bottom. So now some people again add the chicken broth or chicken broth. Has a different flavor. If you add the beef broth, it's going to be fighting with the other flavors, and that's also why I don't use red wine. You don't want flavors fighting each other. So what I'm going to do now is, and it could go the other way, I'm adding 2 cups of chicken stock. Okay, and I'm going to add 1 cup of cream. Okay, what do I mean by cream? The heavy cream. Okay, that's what I like to use. You can use milk if you want. Mix it in. I like to try a little bit of pepper. May not look appetizing now, but it is. Okay, so now the key. Okay, nutmeg. How much? Maybe a teaspoon. If you're doing a little bit more, maybe 2 teaspoons. It adds a little magic to it. I've tried cinnamon as well. The only thing, again, the cinnamon kind of changes the flavor a little. So now I'm going to let it simmer. I'm going to, it'll start, once it boils, then you'll have the it'll bubble up. So then what you want is you want to stir it and lower the heat so it doesn't bubble anymore. Once all the bubbles are gone, then you know it's ready, and then you can add the tomatoes and let it simmer again. I'm also going to add bay leaf right now, 1.5. That adds a little flavor, okay? So this is what you have. Let me turn on the light a little. Maybe you can see it better that way, okay? It's a long process, but it's well worth it. It's not beef bourguignon, which takes even longer. But this one, once it's done, you can put it in a bag and freeze it. And you can, it'll last a while. It'll last a long time. So you can use it anytime. You can use this sauce for lasagna. You can use the sauce with your pasta. There's many uses to this. Again, the beauty of this is that once you make it, now you have sauce for the next, you can use it 3, 4, 5 times. Okay, just wanted to show you what this looks like. It's still cooking, it's boiling. It's gonna be boiling a lot more. And you wanna, you want it to boil. It'll be ready once you no longer have any bubbles. So right now, if you leave it alone, you will see it'll start bubbling up. So it's still not ready. You gotta wait. Once it has no more bubbles, then I'm gonna add the tomatoes and then let it simmer and simmer and simmer. You can let it simmer for an hour, 2 hours, in some cases 3. It depends of how rich you want the flavor. Okay, as you can tell, the dairy, the cream, and the broth have evaporated somewhat, but we still need possibly another 15 minutes. Once it evaporates completely, then I'm gonna add the tomatoes and continue to simmer, and also add a little bit of this. Okay, it adds a little kick to it. I like it. You can try it, you don't have to, but when you make it, try it and see what happens. If you don't, next time you make this, you don't have to. Okay, so now the sauce is, the dairy, the heavy cream has evaporated. So now we can add the tomatoes. 1 full can of tomatoes. You may also add more if you want it. And of course, add a little bit of this to add a little spice to it. That's again probably like I would say 1 to 2 teaspoons. In looking at it, I think I'm going to add a little bit more of tomato just to give it that red color to it. Okay, so we're pretty much done. Now, the more you simmer it, the better it'll be. But at this point, I'm going to remove the bay leaf. That doesn't need to stay there. And instead, I'm going to add another leaf. But this one, it'll be basil. Okay. So I'm going to let it simmer probably another 15 minutes. And it does look a little like Sloppy Joe, but totally different flavor. I've never made Sloppy Joe, but I take it, it has ketchup, although this one has tomato. But this one has cream, has broth, has wine. And then you cook whatever pasta you like. Try not to use spaghetti pasta for this. Try to use a flat um, parpadelle or something that is a little wide, so then all the juices and the meat can stick to it. And then once you serve it over pasta, I suggest a little drizzle of olive oil and of course Parmesan cheese. Taste the sauce. Parmesan cheese tends to be a little salty, although Pecorino Romano is saltier. So you can use either one, but keep that in mind that you may add a little too much salt to your sauce. I hope you try it, and if you do, let me know how it comes out. Leave the comments, and until we do another recipe, enjoy. Okay, everybody, this is the end result of our Bologna sauce with a little pasta. I added Parmesan cheese. You can add pecorino. Again, it's a little saltier. You can even add a little more cream if that's what you want. The green is the basil. Adds a little touch of flavor to that. You don't have to add it, but try it at home and let me know.